Hello everyone, my name is Zorz from Internet Society. I come from Slovenia. Thank you for inviting me here. And I would like to talk about the tool that we built. It's called NAT64Check. So, the background, the problem statement. We are seeing some problems with IPv6 deployment, of course. If people tell you that there are no problems with IPv6 deployment, they're just plain wrong. So let me walk you through all 6 degrees of my inner turbulence here. We have a fast-growing number of IPv6-only networks with NAT64 and DNS64, right? And that works most of the time. It works just fine, especially because 464 XLAT on Android phones that is masking majority of the problems there. Like Happy Elbows is masking lots of the problems. But it breaks when hosters does stupid things. Bad DNS records or hard-coded IPv4 addresses in URLs, that breaks. For example, if you have a phone on IPv6 only network that is using DNS64 and NAT64, if somebody puts in a quad A record for the website that is column or column 1, then this phone will never be able to get to this content because it can't talk IPv4, but the DNS64 will not synthesize and regenerate the quad A record. So for this user, this content is not reachable, right? And here are the examples that we are seeing in DNS records. If any of you put quad A in DNS with any of these value, don't. Just, don't, because you would break severely your reachability of your website. So we thought of this, and I'm traveling a lot around the world. I'm talking to lots of operators around the world. I spent 20 years in operation building, running parts of the internet. And many mobile operators ask me, Jan, if we deploy IPv6, what is going to be the user experience, people on the phone? How will they see the internet? And they ask me, is there a tool where we can test how websites are seen from these environments? Because clearly, people that puts up websites and configures servers, the web servers, they still don't understand that internet is not IPv4 only place. There are new environments that they do not test. There are IPv6 environment, and there is NAT64 environment that has its specifics. So version 0 was actually, I put together some bash scripts. I'm not a programmer, I'm not a coder. So I put together some bash scripts. I had this idea to build a machine that would go to one URL from 3 different environments, and then whatever it gets back from IPv4 only, IPv6 only, and NAT64, actually combine the result. Actually try to understand if there are differences in the rendered result. So I wrote some bash scripts, and it was really ugly. So when I showed this to Sander Stefan, he's a coder, he's a programmer, he just said, I understand what you're doing here, but sir, please step away from the keyboard. And he actually asked me to delete the whole thing. And then he wrote version 1 in Python, Django, and Corinne, his girlfriend, designed the web interface. And this was, I think this was the old one. So how does this tool work? So here you see this is a test from our government website, and it's good. So you see here is the result from NAT64. environment. Here is the result from IPv4 only, and here is the result from IPv6 only environment. You see all three images are the same. That means that this website will be properly seen from all the environment. And this tool is the mirror to you. This shows you how you are seen from the internet. For example, this one, textfiles.com. You see, IPv6 only, bad. People in IPv6 only will just not see this content. Why? We still don't know. Maybe there is no Quad A record, maybe they didn't deploy IPv6. Who knows? Foxnews.com. Oops. They somehow broke NAT64 environment. So nobody nobody out of hundreds of millions of users with mobile phones, I don't know, on T-Mobile USA, will not be able to see Fox News. Is that good or bad? We don't know. Politics aside. Okay. The version 1 flaws were, it was unclear what the cause of a failure was. Okay. It was quite easy for me and for Sander, because we built the tool, to understand from the tool what's the problem, but that was it. People that was using the tool started sending us emails saying, look at this measurement, what exactly is the problem? Can you identify the problem for me? So troubleshooting was not very clear. It was clear to us, but not to anyone else. And that's not really, really useful if you build a tool that is sort of like meant to be used for generic purposes. Then we had two different systems. One was in my lab in Slovenia, one was in Netherlands, and it didn't scale properly. There was no coordination between them. It's still online. Mine is still online on NAT64Check.go6lab.si. And I think in the last year alone, we had 180,000 measurements in 1 year. So 180,000 people came to the website and typed in their web address and run the test. So this was quite popular. But we figured out that this doesn't scale. So we decided that we need to put some order in the chaos. So we decided to go for systematic chaos, and we actually completely rebuilt the whole system. It's written from the scratch. It's distributed. So the main node is in Netherlands now, and every other node is around the world. And actually, when you do the test, you can do the same test from many locations from around the world. And then it also shows you how you are reachable from different parts of the world over IPv4 and IPv6. It's easy to install if you want to run your own test location. Basically what you need is a VM with, I think, preferred system is Ubuntu 18.04. And what you need to do is you create a username NAT64Check with the password that's in the sudoers file. You send an email to Sander or me, and we will configure the central machine to connect to your VM and run the Ansible scripts and install the whole thing. So you don't have to do much to run the instance of this test. We also wanted to change the error detection and the feedback. We put lots of thoughts into writing a very descriptive descriptions, actually, of what is happening to your website if things go bad. And we also have extendability for additional tests. I don't know. We can, because it's an open distributed platform, we can put whichever test we want on it. If we want to test DNSSEC, then let's test DNSSEC. If we want to test routing, then let's test routing. So if you have any ideas for more tests that would be useful, then please talk to me. I'm more than happy to get any possible feedback. Oh, some illumination theory. Zaphod, that's the president of the galaxy. That's the central node that gets all the tests back and actually represents the measurement. Then we have, this is for example one VM in Go6 Lab, and this is in Netherlands. And we have Trillion. Trillion talks to Zaphod. It's a sensible coordinator, and Marvins are the paranoid androids that do the work. The Marvins are, this is part of the software that actually sends out the HTTP or HTTPS requests, has a sort of like a command line browser built in that also actually renders the web page and sends it back to Trillion and back to Zaphod. And actually Trillion compares the images and sends the result back to Zaphod that tells you what is wrong with your website. Here is the picture of the tool. So if you go to www.NAT64Check.org, this is the new system, version 2, you can actually select the locations, right? If you don't want to do the test from all possible locations, if you want to do it just from UK, okay, we don't have a node in UK, but hopefully we will have one. You can select, and then you write in here your URL address, press the green button, and wait. Take the time, because this machine needs to communicate to all the nodes what you want from it. Marvins needs to do the HTTPS, HTTP queries. Sometimes something is wrong. Sometimes you need to wait for timeouts. So don't frantically press the button, because you will not get anything out of it. Just press the button and wait. It will come. It will tell you running strict tests, image matching, resource matching, and wait. Take the time. Here we can see it's much clearer summary of the test, of the measurement. On the first page you will just see just the summary. If you want to dive deep into what were the images, how it looked like, you need to select the location and go into the location, and then it will open the 3 images that you saw, and then you can look at all the elements that loaded on the website, and then compare which elements did not load it from which environment and things like this. You can sign up for an account. I think it's done already, the monitoring. You can put in the URL of your web server, and then so this is the idea that it will monitor every day if things changed, and it can send you an email if your web developers did something clever and broke the whole thing. I don't know if this is functional yet. I need to talk to Sander, but this is the idea. And also this gives you more privacy, because then you can run the private tests. Because if you run the test here, it will show on the list of the tested sites. And I've seen that couple of .uk people already did some tests. And you can do the test meantime I'm talking to you, because I'm interested in results after I'm done. Yeah, as I said, if you select here one location, then you see the pictures and more detailed results. Recurring tests, I mentioned this. You can go and set up the monitoring for you, and we also improved the knowledge base. We described the most common errors that we encountered through version 0 and 1. And they actually tell you more about what is probably wrong with your website. some images and words, credits. Project Chaser was Kevin. Sander and I did the technical design. Marvin was prototyped by Musa. Final implementation, Sander, he did majority of the heavy lifting. So this thing needs to learn how to live, and we need to expand the tool. This tool is free. It's open for everybody to use. It's for the good of the internet. It's meant to, if you encounter some issues with some website, you call the website owner and say, look, go to this NAT64Check tool and please test your website because clearly you have something broken. But as said, we need to expand the measurement platform. So we are asking for volunteers to give us a VM with Ubuntu 18.04 in as many locations around the world that we can get a VM, and that's how we can make better measurements. And we don't have any in UK, so we would be glad to include at least one VM in UK in our measurement platform. I would like to thank to Internet Society for sponsoring the development of version 2 and all the support in the last year. That's it from my side. Did anyone do the test? Hands up. How did it go? Okay. Yeah, well, you know. Multiple people on the same machines at the same time. We heard that today, right? Yeah. Okay, are there any questions or volunteers or suggestions? What kind of tests we need to, would it be good to implement? Okay, there is a...
Hi, Aled Morris from White Fiber. Does it check the MTU that's available on when it accesses these websites? Because obviously, if people are running IPv6 over tunnels, they might have less than a 1500 MTU. Yeah.
Well, it does check for the MTU, and it will tell you that you have possible MTU issues. We thought of that quite hard because this is the most common. Okay, apart from silly DNS records, this is quite a common mistake in IPv6 deployment, that people run services on tunnels and then things break. So yeah, the test is in there. Anyone else? Yep. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I don't bite usually.
Hi, Nico from Paradines. Is it something you could do with Atlas probes? Because you said you don't have any probe in the UK, but Atlas probes have many locations. So is it something which could be implemented as part of the Atlas checks?
I don't know. Maybe currently it's implemented as somebody gives us a virtual machine and we run Ansible scripts and remotely install and configure the whole thing. But we can have a discussion. You can tell me how that works and see if it can be fitted in there.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions in the room? Okay, thanks, Jan.
Thank you very much. Cheers.